If you find yourself opening up too much, which I occasionally do too. Like like we're human, like, and you go through stuff, and your girl is probably the closest person to you that you talk to the most, right? So you will do this. You're going to do it. You're going to fall into this trap, and you just need to be aware of it. Okay, so just be aware of it, and when you catch yourself word vomiting all these insecurities or whatever, you need to cap it off with a positive spin. But you know what? Don't worry about it. I got a plan for this. We're gonna hit the ground running tomorrow. We're gonna take care of it. Even if you don't have a plan, she needs to think you do. And if you don't have a plan, get in the wolf pack. Like, the brothers will help you come up with a plan. Okay. It's a good place for that. But take it to the boys. Don't take it to your girl. Okay. Don't have her help you come up with a plan. She's gonna use that shit against you later. Okay. You need to have a plan. If you can't figure out one on your own, hang out with some guys that have been where you've been. That's the biggest thing. If she says you're not emotionally available enough and says she wants you to be more vulnerable, okay, this is women speak, right? What she's really doing in this moment is she's being neurotic. She feels like something's off. Something doesn't feel right to her. And so she's being insecure, and she doesn't want to feel those feelings alone. So what she'll do is say, something's off, something's bothering, like, open up to me, talk to me, right? Like, that's her feeling insecure about the status of the relationship. It does not actually mean open up and share all your deepest, darkest secrets. Okay. What it means is she wants you to feel what she's feeling in the moment. She doesn't want to feel those feelings alone. That's all it comes down to, right? So how do you handle that? Well, just ask her questions, right? Basically use Luca on her, and feed back some of her insecurities. So say, well, what makes you ask that? Like, what are you feeling right now? Like, why do you think something's off? And then have her express her emotions, and I don't know, I just feel really insecure right now, blah blah. Oh, so you're saying that you're feeling insecure right now because I'm doing X, Y, and Z, is that right? And just get her emotions off her chest, get her to start explaining her emotions. And then when she feels heard and understood, and you've regurgitated back some of that stuff, and you're actually being an active listener and listening to her emote, she's going to feel like you've been vulnerable with her, and then she's going to feel better about the situation. You haven't said you just repeated back her feelings to her. That's how you play the game. That's how you play the game, guys. End of episode. All right. That's probably the biggest, when I learned that, it blew my mind the first time I heard that. I think I learned that from Ryan Stone. Shout out to Ryan. He's a genius. But think about that. And any time I've ever told a guy to do that and he's applied that, they've come back going, wow, that's like magic trick. Yeah. Oh, yo, Paul, when I'm not broke, I will super chat. No problem, dude. No problem, man. No problem. What does being indifferent to her emotions mean? Ignore, walk away? No, it just means not be bothered by them. Like, let's say she comes to you, TC, and she's crying and stuff like that. You don't start getting in your emotions, go like, what are you crying about, right? Because that's you getting frustrated by her crying. If you just act indifferent and you go, hey, what's bothering you? You want to talk about it? And she's like, no, I don't want to talk about it right now. Okay, cool. Well, I'll be over here. Like, just not getting up in your emotions. That's what I mean by indifference, TC. I hope that helps. And thanks for tuning in on X, by the way. That's cool. I like hearing from the X guys if you're watching on X right now. Unless you're a hater because you didn't like my meme about the septum piercings. Okay, it's a personal preference. All right. What's the role of masculine presence? Your role in the relationship as the dominant masculine man is to be calm, be unshakable, be forward moving, be a man of purpose. Okay. If you're that guy and you're not rattled by everything and you're just super hyper focused on the mission and getting things done and knocking things out and problem solving, and you don't let minor things bother you, and even big things, yeah, they might bother you, but you still push forward. That kind of stuff causes her to feel more safe and secure in the relationship, right? It triggers her trust and desire, not contempt. Okay. You're being a man that she can rely on. And that's really what all this stuff comes down to. Okay. So how do you get there? Right? Because if you've been that guy who just hasn't mentally had that strength to do that kind of stuff before, it's going to be hard. Okay. You've got to start working on the stuff. The work never stops. Okay. But you got to start developing your center, right? Corey Wayne refers to it as being centered, but he's talking about mental frame. You've got to work on having a strong mental frame. Okay. And you want to build a life that doesn't revolve around her reactions. You got to put yourself first and make yourself your own mental point of origin. Like the light sometimes hits me and it really makes me look more red than I am. I don't like that. I got to figure out this lighting better. So what are some actionable habits, right? What can you take away from this episode and start using today? Well, you're not going to like it because it's going to sound like work, right? But you're going to need to work on your physical fitness. I thought you were talking about mental frame. Okay. Like developing discipline to make yourself go to the gym, even when you don't want to, is a part of developing your mental frame. Plus, on top of that, you're going to see results in like, when you're losing weight and you're making yourself more attractive to your wife and stuff like that, that you're going to see that in the mirror, and that's going to give you motivation to want to keep going forward. Okay. Like fitness is like the number one thing we talk about in the space, because it's like the easiest thing that you can control right now. Even if you're broke like Miles, right? You don't need to go have a gym membership. You can work out at home. Like I have a fitness course that I put out a couple of years ago for guys like that. They're like, oh, I can't afford to go to the gym. But you don't need a gym. There's only 4 exercises you need anyway to stay in decent shape, right? So physical fitness, there's no excuses not to do it. I just don't have any time. Well, you got to make time. You got to make time. You got to develop your mission. You got to figure out what your mission and purpose is in life. Because what a lot of guys do is they get married and then they make their family their mission. They make their wife their mission. They end up putting her on a pedestal, and then everything they do is for their family. You got to put yourself first. And you got to figure out what's important to you. Your family and your wife will be a byproduct. Like everything will shake out, but you've got to find a mission and be more mission focused. Okay. You want to cultivate male friendships. How many of you guys out there have no friends? Like most guys don't have any friends, right? Their wives have friends, and then their wives make you hang out with their friends' husbands, but you guys aren't real friends. It's not like you guys are buddy and you guys go hang out all the time. For most guys, your wife is your only a friend, right? And you treat her like a friend, and then you wonder why you're in the friend zone in your own relationship. Okay. Stop doing that shit. She's not your best friend. She's your lover. Go find real friends, and preferably male friends that know what the fuck they're talking about. That's why I say get in the wolf pack, right? You've got to develop your leadership and decision-making skills. You've got to learn how to take the reins back from your wife, take your balls out of her purse, and start setting the tone and leading your relationship, right? You need to start being the captain of the ship and have her be the executive officer. You don't want her running the ship, because then that just builds more resentment. And you want to pursue some challenges. You want to do hard things. You want to set goals for yourself that seem unattainable. You don't want to just coast through life doing easy shit. The more you do all these types of things, the more you'll snap out of this nice guy behavior, and the more your wife's going to be more attracted to you. Do you see how this all works? And most men can't do it alone, though. Most men can't do it alone. They don't even know where to begin. Okay. It took me years to crack all this shit. And I've laid it all out. I've laid it all out in my book. Get her to you again if you haven't read it yet. I've laid it all out in my book, because trying to figure it out on your own, it's really the slowest and hardest path possible. It took me years to work on this shit, right? I've been working on this shit for 10 years. Do you want to wait another 10 years, or do you want to take the fast lane to fixing your problems? The book, the workbook, getting some coaching, that's the fast track. Okay. Most of you guys are on the fence about getting books or coaching, and you're trying to piece this together with like free TikToks and podcasts. Here's the truth though, right? You can watch podcasts like this. If you go back and read and listen to or watch all my old archives, you'll find everything that I've ever talked about in these books. You'll find them all in the podcasts, right? I give a lot of this information for free, but I have 5 years of episodes, right? 5 years of episodes that you got to comb through to get all this information. And free TikToks are the worst. Guys who only watch TikToks, like you're getting like 30-second or 1-minute sound bites. You're not going to fix your relationship with 30-second or 1-minute sound bites. Okay. And what most guys do is they go try to do the easy route, and they just listen to the podcast, or they just watch TikToks. One of my 3% brothers even admitted that he doesn't listen to any podcasts anymore. He doesn't read any books anymore. He just watches TikToks. And I'm like, oh, dude, like he's going to fall back into the old patterns. And in fact, I've seen him fall back into old patterns in the past too. The difference comes when you commit invest in yourself and do the work with a proven plan. Okay. That's how you climb out of the shit. That's when you're really going to see results.
New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe now.